I think we need to also tie up some loose ends with our newer segment, Sticky Fingers, Sticky Balls. We had
Yeah,
a cliffhanger at the end of last
w-
episode
we most certainly did.
where Hector Santiago's appeal was apparently heard, but had not been reported on, or the findings had not been released for several days, to the point where it was, I think, almost a week when we were doing our last podcast, and there was no news about whether that appeal had been upheld or not. But
And that night, as we were doing the podcast, we were expecting to go on air because it had been said that the appeal news would come out that Wednesday, and we got nothing.
yeah, it finally did come out in the most, or the least surprising fashion possible. Just little leaks came out to some Seattle reporters that, of course, the appeal had been upheld. More details emerged as, of course, that appeal had been upheld by a Major League Baseball employee. I believe his name is John McHale. He is executive vice president of administration or something with MLB. So, of course, MLB is going to uphold their own appeal process. They're not going to overturn themselves. Why would they? They have no interest in this. Uh, and the other interesting side of this is there's so little reporting about this in general, which you and I
Yeah,
predicted there'd be very little reporting about, because Major League Baseball is doing everything they could to get this appeal done with and out of the way and shoved under the rug so people wouldn't be talking about it anymore. We speculated that they thought of Hector Santiago, a journeyman pitcher who's also known as one of the nicest guys in baseball, would just go away. He'd be their patsy. They could make an example of him, and he would probably not appeal and just take his 10-game paid suspension and be happy that he's still a Major League Baseball player. But he did appeal, and they shoved that appeal process under the rug, upheld it, of course. Has been the minimal reporting about that has come out of Seattle, who is definitely an interested party, but where it appears no one else is interested. Um, Ryan Divish, I believe is his name, reporter for the Seattle Times, covered this extensively and interviewed a lot of players and part of the front office of the Mariners, and he couldn't get anyone on record. But the general consensus is that they think this whole process is, he put the quote, clown show. And that is exactly how you and I have been viewing this all along. And
yep.
the reporting is now supporting that idea that they are, everyone in Seattle sees Major League Baseball's actions as trying to make Hector Santiago an example, and making him a scapegoat and giving some token teeth to their sticky fingers, sticky balls policy, that they could suspend this guy and he would just go away. And it's working out perfectly for Major League Baseball. Is no one is talking about sticky fingers anymore. They showed that they will discipline at least one person in this, so there is some teeth to
I
their
mean,
their
yeah,
policy, but it's all a sham in my mind. They made a patsy of them. It's been confirmed. It's confirmed the Mariners feel the same way. So I think you and I were correct about how this whole situation would be handled or mishandled.
yeah. It's handled very similarly to steroids in baseball, in the fact that, do you remember, and I don't know if it was in a single A or double A, the first person suspended for steroids in baseball was some obscure player out of the minor leagues. I mean,
Yeah,
you obviously had guys who, no one suddenly just stopped taking steroids, right? Like abruptly. So there had to be guys still on roids on major league ball clubs, but we didn't even see the first the really was A-Rod the first big name back then, and that was
there
like
were
there
yeah
was
there were
a
lots
few
of big,
years down the road.
yeah, and there's differences in that there's you're breaking federal laws in some
No,
cases
no,
by
true. And we talked about that.
having steroids. So
We're not breaking any laws by having the sticky substance on the
and
baseball.
that's why this was so easy for Major League Baseball to grandstand on and then just make it go away as fast as they wanted to. It was
Yep.
an issue. It was an issue, and now it's no longer an issue. And I mean, it's brilliantly sinister calculations by Rob Manfred and the powers that be that they created an issue and made it go away very easily. Fortunately, Hector Santiago, he didn't have a code red ordered on him. He's still alive. He got paid this whole time. It's unfortunate that he was made an example of. I just think the hypocrisy and just disingenuousness. Disingenuousness, is that a word?
Maybe.
Well, if it wasn't, Rob Manfred created that into existence because that is what he is. So again, not the end of the world. I just find it. We had to talk about it. We brought this up for many weeks. We had to bring up the dramatic conclusion to Sticky Fingers, Sticky Balls. I don't think you'll ever hear about this again. No. I don't think there's going to be any more suspensions.
I don't think so either. We've gotten to the point. Did MLB order them at the end of an inning not to even show the umpires anymore going up to the?
You still see it from time to time, but it's not a reason to. It's not a point of interest anymore. I think that's why you were seeing it on camera.
It's already gone.
One thing I do need to still mention, another detail that came out is, and we speculated on it, they did not do any testing on Hector Santiago's glove. There was no forensic testing. They didn't have to. They just like we said,
they could just found something on the glove.
Yeah. And how are you going to dispute that? You are in their courtroom with their judge and jury. You can't dispute it. They put it in a bag like we saw at the time at Sox Park. Into a white kitchen garbage bag.
Yeah, a hefty garbage bag.
By the authenticator.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all a joke. And it was exactly as you and I speculated it would be. So maybe we'll never talk about it again. Hopefully we don't ever.
Hopefully we don't ever talk about it again.
We'll see.
There was one thing from that, not to prolong this segment, but do you recall, and because I've seen pitchers do it since this was brought up, they said, because Hector Santiago's play was, it's just rosin and sweat, because I put rosin.
If anything was on the glove, would be rosin and sweat.
Yeah, it was because I put rosin on my glove arm, like on my glove hand on that side. And the ump told Service in that inning that is not approved. It's illegal to put rosin on the glove arm. Now, I just watched, I forget who came into the game. It wasn't the Milwaukee series. It was something like that. The first thing the pitcher did when he got out to the mound was put rosin on both arms. Yeah. So was that really is that even really a rule? I never bothered to look it up because I didn't really care that much. But
whatever they want it to be that day works out.
And that's for that reason is why I brought it up, because I thought it was a ridiculous statement at the time. The fact that no one knew that rule, quote unquote, existed was proof in itself that they were like, those umps got the call. You got to make someone, pick out Hector Santiago today, eject him from the game. We can say we can say we're enforcing this policy, and now it's gone. Basically,
somebody had to be made an example of, and it happened to be one Hector Santiago. Free Hector. #free Hector.
Free Hector.